You are such an old man, Trevor.
So I noticed, Mike, that you were drinking a Ghost.
No, I don't think I've ever had a Ghost. This is actually a tangerine flavored Topo Chico.
Okay.
Oh, those
It's
things are so
one
good.
of the well. Here's actually a big opportunity. I probably the most top shelf seltzer there is. They've been on sale at Big Y the last couple of weeks. $4 for 6. You can't get a bigger deal.
That's
I don't
actually
really
crazy.
like energy drinks, but power to you guys though. I know the kids love them.
I'm
I know Trevor, you're about 18. Billy, what's your age?
I'm also 18. Also 18.
Okay.
Mhm.
So you guys are really in the energy drink phase.
Yeah, I'm not personally into energy drinks as much as Trevor is. I'm more of a coffee guy. I love me a good espresso, love me good
I kind
cup
of
of coffee.
begrudgingly drink them because I noticed ever since I started working in retail, I've been drinking energy drinks.
Yeah, so I don't want to turn this into like the Tim Ferriss show where I'm giving you advice. I would say coffee, good in moderation, enjoy it. Energy drinks, you got to get off now. It throws off your body's ability to like create your own energy. I'd say sleep well, no caffeine the first 2 hours. After that, want a little coffee, fine. But if you think you're tired with the energy drink, it only makes you more tired. It's awful. So why don't, Trevor, make a moment on your podcast. This is only the second one of these you've done. I'd say, why don't you take that energy drink and pour it out right now? This can be the start of a new chapter.
Do it. I want
energy
you to
drink free. And you want to talk improv,
we have
and.
a trash can right here.
Yeah.
We haven't even done
Dump it out.
Do it.
Dump it out.
This is going to be
Dump
like
it
a
People at
cold
home are
open.
going crazy.
We haven't
Trevor,
even done an
you will
intro
never
yet.
drink an energy drink again.
Go, we gotta gotta get that.
Don't
last,
have a sip.
Gotta have that last.
Trevor, it's a new you.
All right, so before I dump it out, I was asking you because I wanted to tell you why I bought this. Do you remember the story?
Sorry for derailing you then. I
So,
thought you
so
were just interested in my drink.
This is a Rockstar energy drink.
Do you know the Rockstar, the video game company, right? Rockstar Games.
Yeah, of course.
I never Googled it because I just thought Rockstar Energy Drink and Rockstar Game were the same company for some reason. I never Googled it. I never was like. I just thought they were the same thing.
We were standing in front of a cooler at a convenience store, and he pointed at the drink. This is the last one in the cooler, and he asked me that, and I laughed, and I said, "I'm buying that because you asked me that question."
So you thought that was like an homage to Grand Theft Auto 5 was the Rockstar Energy drink?
Yeah,
I can see that being confusing. Well, a lot of companies like Apple, they make TV sets and computers and phones. So that's not the craziest misconception in the world. So, Trevor, don't think you're off the hook. The audience at home is dying for you. I'm not sure when this is going to air. We're recording it on the 7th of January. It's a new year. This is the new Trevor. No more energy drinks. He's going to sleep well and have a cup of coffee 2 weeks after waking up.
Yeah, I will make
2 hours.
I'll make him a good cup of Joe. He will have the absolute best. I have an espresso maker at home.
Wonderful.
It's probably an unhealthy amount of
That's
caffeine,
impressive.
But
there's a
Keurig
Keurig in the other room.
Actually, I don't have that much coffee. I probably have like max 2 a day.
All right, and then we're gonna start the intro.
We're gonna start. No, this is the intro.
This is the cold open.
This is this is the prelude.
Get us chanting, Mike.
Pour it out. Pour it. Don't get it all over the stuff.
I just want to look at it.
Pour it out.
Yeah, it's a pretty full trash can. It's going to be oozing over the sides. A little
it looks like
Rockstar volcano in the trash can.
It actually smells.
Well, it could be. I think taurine is technically part.
It's like
I'm proud of you, Trevor. That takes a lot. And never have another one again. They're disgusting and bad for you.
I wore this shirt just for you.
And mochas are so much better. Maybe not for you, but
that's right.
They're so good.
Well, they say the barista drink is a flat white. So if you really want to get on the ball, flat white's where it's at.
I'll drink water.
That's what's best for you.
That's the best one, but if you got to enjoy life. I think enjoying the little things in life, even if it's like, a little sugary treat or a little coffee anytime.
Speaking of sugary treat, we went to Olive Garden and we committed some larceny and stole a cup of their after dinner mints.
And when we say we, heavy on the Trevor did it.
Yeah, there's a SpongeBob episode where they steal a balloon on Free Balloon Day. I'm pretty sure the after dinner mints are complimentary. But I appreciate you outing yourself on a public platform in case they come after you. This is all the evidence the jury needs.
Big Olive Garden's gonna come get him. And also, you are also a leader for an improv group or part of an improv group of some kind. That's my knowledge.
In a former life, not anymore, unfortunately. I
Not
can give you a
anymore.
little backstory if you want.
I would love a little backstory.
Sure. Well, I grew up. Right now, I live in Western Mass. Are you guys texting during your own show?
No, he's pointing at.
I wanted to do an intro.
Oh, sorry.
I made a.
Trevor can
I
do
made
the
a
yeah.
funny
Trevor,
intro.
we'll hand you the intro.
Yeah,
we're gonna
my
talk
bad.
improv a lot, but Trevor's got a scripted intro.
Yeah. My bad.
Say it like Bruce Buffer.
I didn't mean to take it from you.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't sleep. I can't sleep. I can't sleep. I can't sleep. Have you tried melatonin? I can't sleep. Have you tried Benadryl? I can't sleep. Have you tried Valium? I can't sleep.
Welcome to episode 2 of I Can't Sleep, the show you watch when insomnia's got you down, or should I say up.
This is the beginning of the video. We swear.
I would like to introduce my new friend. Oh my god.
This is also my friend.
I would like to introduce my new co-host, Billy
Best can't.
Okay, Trevor, can I pause you?
Yeah.
Trevor, I'm gonna pause you. Will you allow me? So this is Trevor's second podcast. First one, I believe, was alone. Now he's got a partner, new studio, whole thing. We're gonna talk about improv.
Director.
That means a lot to everyone listening. We're gonna talk a lot about improv today. That's why I was invited on, discussing improv from what I understand. Here is one piece of advice I always give people who are a little bit nervous jumping on stage the first time. Because Trevor, I'll pull back the curtain, gets a little bit of stage fright now and then. You guys ever attempt a backflip, maybe on like a trampoline, try to do a backflip?
Yes, and hurt myself.
See? Well, here's the thing with backflips. If you're listening at home, you can relate. If you're doing a backflip and you fully commit to it, you're fine. But if you're doing a backflip and you get scared halfway, you just freeze and lock up and land on your head. Improv is a similar thing where if you're sometimes afraid to commit to a bit or do something, you'll start off strong, feel awkward, and then the scene kind of explodes. Trevor, I think you started strong and you got caught up in the weeds of your own intro halfway. So I'm going to rewind the clock. This is the new intro. You wrote it all out. Just commit to it. And it's going to be awesome. Let's have take 2 and leave this all in. This is part of it. The backflip analogy never fails. Don't freak out. Don't worry about how you're sounding. Commit.
Let's run that back. This is the beginning of this video. We swear. Part 2.
Drum roll.
Drum roll,
Trevor's
please.
going to kill this intro.
We're waiting though.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome to episode 2 of I Can't Sleep, the show you watch when insomnia's got you down, or should I say up. I would like to introduce my new co-host and good friend who I met crying in a college bathroom stall.
Curled up in a ball.
Mr. Billy Descant.
Yes, that's me. Everyone clap. Thank you.
Nice to meet you. I got to say, I'm really impressed. If you've been here the whole time, I was introduced to Billy as a new acquaintance, then to friend, now to close friend. And so escalation-wise, these two are like practically brothers at this point. I think that's a beautiful thing.
You know, I feel like we became friends, I think, so quickly. Like we met in like a line to like some burgers at HCC. He came up to me, he was like, "Hey." And I was like, "Hey." And then from there, we've hung out almost every single day since then, I would say.
But with any good relationship, whether it's with a friend or a romantic partner, usually there's not that much effort. Just if you click, you have a certain chemistry. It's there from the first moment. You don't really need to work for it that much. So, hey, I'm happy you guys met freshman year. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
For today's guest, we're honored to have back on the channel English teacher, Harvard certified Blink-182 enthusiast with a deep background in improv and comedy, Mr. Michael Short.
Hi, everyone. So yeah, Harvard's being, I do have a certificate from Harvard for a 6-week course I took. It was not in Blink-182, but I probably have a Harvard's level worth of knowledge on that band. So actually I listened to a podcast with Mark Hoppus today. He was on a Danielle Fishel show. She played Topanga in Boy Meets World. So the people in my generation are really in an embarrassment of riches right now as far as nostalgia goes. But I'm excited about the new up-and-comers. I'm excited about the Can't Sleep podcast. This is kind of, I think, technically your second episode, but it's kind of new studio, new host.
Yeah.
What are you guys hoping to do? What are we excited about?
This is my first time ever doing like a podcast like this, I would say. So I'm kind of excited to just like ask some questions about improv because I'm interested in getting some like knowledge of someone who, you know, is older and has done it for, I would assume, a longish time. I don't know. How many years have you done improv for?
Well, I don't want to be a poser. I haven't really done improv consistently in close to a decade now.
Okay.
So I'm really riding my own coattails in this interview.
I'm not
But I
saying-
started doing
oh,
improv
sorry.
when I was like 16.
That
And right now I'm 36. So I guess improv has been a part of my life for about 20 years. Which
Yes.
makes me sound older than I felt like when I was talking about Blink-182 a moment ago. But yes, so for about 20 years, improv's been an important role in my life in one way or another.
yeah, it's also been a huge part of my life, and I've already been doing it for probably like 5-ish years at this point because I started it freshman
Oh,
year,
wow.
and over the course of the years in high school, I was the like one of the leaders in improv, helped with the group and stuff, and it was always super fun. But now that I'm in college and kind of starting anew, I'm going into college. There's not any improv group, you know. So and I've
Well,
been-
not yet. My
Not-
hope is that, we'll talk for a little bit tonight, and then maybe tomorrow you guys can get started. That would be the dream, I guess. Then you can have this as an artifact. It all started here.
Oh yeah, well I've actually have tried to start it. That's kind of my thing.
Not hard enough.
This is part of the reason why I'm on here today is because I want to
Oh,
maybe get a little bit of advice for
so you've got an agenda, Billy. That's what you're saying.
a little bit, yeah. I don't know. This is my
That's a good thing. Great. Well, I don't want to bogart the show, so wherever you'd like to start, I'm happy to start.
do you want to start anywhere specific?
Sure.
I don't know how podcasts work, so this is really
For
just-
those of you who are listening, Trevor's looking at his phone. You got to acknowledge there's an audio audience and maybe a video audience.
Just so you know,
Trevor, I think, has some notes on his phone.
I have nothing written down because I am an improver.
See?
So-
Or improviser.
Mhm.
would be-
Improvist.
As you mentioned, Mike, you have an extensive background in improv before pursuing education. Could
True.
you tell us how you got your start in improv?
Yeah, I would love to. So I grew up in southern New Hampshire. I went to a school called Timberland Regional High School. It felt to me like a small town at the time until I moved to Western Mass and realized it. Being in a regional school, we had 4 towns and only 1 school to choose from. In Western Mass, it's a bit different. Where like you have like 20 schools you can choice into. That wasn't the case. So I had about 14 or 1,500 kids at my school. We had a really robust theater program. We had like a giant performing arts center, and my director was a really committed guy, put on like 5 shows a year. My junior year, so sometimes we'd play like improv games before plays or whatever. My junior year of high school, when I was 16, improv got offered as an elective class though. So that was the first time I really started doing it intently. And that was a blast. I wouldn't say I was great at first, but I think I always had an affinity for it. You know, in improv, you need to fail a lot and kind of find your groove. But that was really nice. It was like a full year-long class, so I was doing improv all the time. One of the strange dynamics in that class, though, was that there was 3 juniors and there was like 9 or 10 seniors. And so most of what we were kind of cultivating as a group didn't really have long-term potential. And also, I'll admit, I was a little bit shy. I was a theater kid, so I wasn't like super introverted. But, you know, when you're doing improv, there's a very good chance you just look like a doofus very much of the time. But my director pulled me and the other juniors aside and said he would like to eventually have a team at the school, but he needs us to kind of get better and volunteer more and kind of just get more comfortable on stage because the seniors are leaving, so we need to lead it. So I took his advice, and after that, I would be the first to volunteer for every game. Sometimes I would do poorly, sometimes it would go great, but I got in the habit of always volunteering no matter what and never overthinking things. So then by the next year, we started the group. I'm going to pause because it's your podcast, but that was as far as how I got started though. Theater program, improv class, and then had the fire under me that if it went well, and I was kind of being a leader in that program, we could have the very first improv team.
Having a dedicated class in like your school definitely makes it definitely easier, I would say, maybe to join it, because it's like, a dedicated class you kind of need to go. For at least me, we had it in as like a club, so you would have to join and then continue to join.
Well, also with a club too, you're probably practicing like once a week, and consistency. People think, there's a misconception, I think, that because improv is about making things up, that you can just kind of do it without preparation. But flexing that part of your brain, like the right side kind of spontaneous creative part of your brain, definitely takes practice, and it's a muscle you can build, or atrophies if you don't use it. So having practice every day was really really beneficial, which is why I'd always recommend doing weird things in public, because if you're not in improv, you can kind of put yourself in challenging situations or create conflicts that don't exist, to flex the muscle. Like sometimes I'll fake that I have an opinion I don't have, just to see if I can convince people of it. That's kind of I don't do it too excessively because it can be annoying. But when I was younger, I would just get in so many arguments I didn't mean, just because I wanted to practice, fake justifying things. Justification's a big thing in improv. You'd be surprised how unhinged you can make your life by just telling people things that aren't true but acting like they are. It's kayfabe. Me with some pro wrestling fans, they do it all the time.
Dude, I feel like I do that somewhat often, like talking to people. Then, not like super duper often, but I know what you're saying. I do that too. And
I don't mean like being an edgelord. I just mean you know what we should ban? Crushed ice, and then they're like really harp on it.
Yeah, just kind of being like ridiculous, like joking more, like is what I'm saying. Like not like making a fake opinion as humor, but always my humor in general is very improv based. It's most of my humor, I would say, isn't like I don't know, pop culture based. Sometimes I see that a lot, but mine is
well, that's good. That's more universal.
I guess.
I feel like my humor derives from my sense of impulsiveness. I have ADHD, and impulse control is a symptom of that, and I feel like a lot of my humor just comes from me just acting strange, which
sure.
That's a great way to have humor. It's from trauma.
Yeah, well, I would say too, it's good. Everyone has their own brand of humor, but improv, I think there's a misconception that improv is about being funny, and I don't believe that it is. I think improv happens to be funny sometimes. I think really in improv, though, what you need to do is just treat everything seriously. And if you're treating something ridiculous with the absolute seriousness, funny stuff happens. But sometimes you're over the top and physical. Sometimes you're just, like we were talking about, justifying a premise. And sometimes it's good to be the straight man. If there's someone on stage who's like on fire and the audience is cracking up for, if you have two people reaching for big jokes, it's kind of just loud. That's why a lot of Disney shows didn't do well. It's just people screaming on stage, So there's nothing wrong too with making up things. Like look at what's that movie, Planes, Trains, and Automobile? Steve Martin really doesn't make jokes in that movie, but he's such a great straight man for Chris Farley. That's the dynamic that works. So whether you're being impulsive or quirky or just kind of playing it straight and being serious, everyone always plays a role. It's all about more than being funny. I always say it's more about just trying to make sense out of an absurd situation. How's that for a take? That's a hot take this early into the podcast.
That's a solid take. I straight up, I agree with that. So you said you've been doing this for 20 years, right?
Yeah. Well, it's been part of my life for 20 years. Again, I don't want to be a poser. I haven't consistently been doing improv for about 10 years. Usually I have like 2 or 3 things in my year where improv pops up.
Were you ever like a leader for like an improv group or like?
So let me fast forward to you. So the next year. Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I had Billy watch the Milkman documentary.
But your audience hasn't seen that. No. That's what we need.
Yeah.
So what happened... So the following, during the end of that improv class, we were doing a game, I guess, where my director was asking us questions and would have only 5 seconds to write an answer, then would all read out what we had. Long story short, the name of the improv group that came to be that we discussed was the Milkmen. So the following year, there was me and the other 2 juniors who were involved. We didn't have a hierarchy in that I was the group president, but one of the kids who was a junior dropped out of school, or he went to night school, so he wasn't involved with it. So it was only me and one of my best friends, Zach, and he was in a band at the time. It's called Brave Little Abacus. If you go to the Reddit emo page, posthumously, they actually got very popular, which is a strange branch thing. They were like a local band from my high school. So he couldn't always be at the practices and shows. He was sometimes, but so I was kind of the quasi leader. And so we had, I think, 8 people on it the first year, and it wasn't the best because we were very disorganized, which I guess was bad leadership on my part because being 17 or 18, I didn't know what to do. But yeah, that first year was fun. We didn't have, my director was really enthusiastic about having us be a real thing, you know, just being kind of a punk rock theater kid. I wasn't gonna like ask admin to let me do something, and they wouldn't have given me permission anyway, probably. So we were just kind of like this DIY group where like I'd always go around saying the milkmen are coming. There was this big carnival we had outside where there's like fundraisers for every organization at the school, and because we weren't a real group, they wouldn't give us a table. So I just got a cooler and I filled it with like chocolate and strawberry milk, and I was walking around saying the milkmen are coming, and selling cups of milk to people for like 50 cents. And that's how we got our first funds for the group to buy things for the show, concessions and all. But yeah, that year we wound up having 3 shows, and I was really proud of them. You know, I can't break down each show, but we got a pretty good turnout, and there was a lot of buzz around us. I almost got in trouble because I was making. Do you guys know what wingdings are?
Yes.
For the listeners at home, that's a font in Word that just looks like hieroglyphics, kind of. So I made all these signs that said the milkmen are coming, like with a date and wingdings. And one kid decoded it, and he was like freaking out. And he was next to a janitor, and the janitor noticed they were all over the walls, and he thought it was a code for like a school shooting was coming. And so he reported to admin like, I don't know who the milkmen are, but apparently they're coming this date in January. We gotta be. And so thankfully he figured out the milkmen were like the new improv group that wasn't completely official yet, but trying to be official.
What a great first impression. What a
yes.
great
Well, always
we gotta try
always
that
polarizing.
No, we don't.
That'll
Always
get us
polarizing.
out there.
We're gonna learn from mistakes. I think that's what I'm gonna get from
Yes. Well, learning from
We'll
mistakes.
use Comic
it's
Sans.
kind of like
We'll use Comic Sans. All right, continue.
Well, no, that's one of those things actually, like you were talking about, like your humor might be just being weird and awkward, but sometimes you can be so esoteric nobody knows what you're talking about. You can defeat your purpose a little bit. But yeah, that was really fun. It was cool because that year we got to do 3 improv shows, and I was I knew I wanted to be a teacher at that time, and I was in like an intro to education class, and so I got to co-teach the next year's improv class with my mentor, so I got to practice leading games and everything there, and it was all great. And then it ended because I graduated high school.
Wait, I hate to interrupt you. Our computer
Please.
just put on.
We got a pop-up on Zoom saying your meeting will end in 10 minutes. I
Why?
didn't realize that there's a wait time if you don't pay for Zoom Pro.
Wait, what?
Oh, well, if you're able to edit the video, if it ends, we can just log back in after, probably. Yeah.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah.
This was we were getting into the juicy stuff. We got into
Well, once you guys get sponsors for the podcast, you can afford that Zoom Pro.
once we get Raid Shadow
we-
Legends and
Do you want to try Google Meet?
I mean, if you just start a new Zoom meeting after this, it will probably be fine too.
I'm just gonna do a quick Google if there's a time limit on Google Meet.
I would love to continue talking on what you were just saying, but this is
That's fine. We
We're
don't
not
want to
on-
spoil the good stuff.
we don't want to spoil the good stuff for all those viewers at home.
Yep. There's
Stay-
gonna be. Well, you never know.
You never know.
Sometimes, like you have 8 viewers, but it really changes one of their lives. You know.
I'm gonna post this on my channel, and I am far more popular. I don't have that many more subscribers, but still.
Well, you know, honestly, my audience is you two, and I hope it's a nice conversation for you guys. If somebody else wants to eavesdrop, that's fine, and if not, then that's fine too.
Yeah, it's just entertaining listening to these stories.
Well, I was afraid I was being boring, so I'm happy you said that, Bill. Thank you.
Well, because like it somewhat reminds me of like me when in high school with It's so recent, I still think about.
Where'd you go to high school?
I went to South Hadley, so.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It's a smaller school compared to other ones where like people are saying thousands of people, but there was only like I think it was like 600 people in this school. Everyone.
I used to play Magic in South Hadley.
Yeah. Everyone kind of knew each other and stuff. So even in like improv, every single person knew everyone.
That's a gift and a curse. And then you got the asparagus,
Oh yeah. Oh, this question has like it feels kind of obvious, but I want to know like how you are because I feel like I'm taking a somewhat similar path as you are. That's why I was actually really interested in interviewing you because you've did improv for a while and then now you're a teacher and I'm going in for college for a teacher.
Oh, great.
How has it helped you in any way in being a teacher? Like the skills you've gotten from improv?
Yeah. Well, it's helped me tremendously in life, but especially as a teacher. I think there's a natural instinct in life to resist things that come your way. But the first kind of cliche they teach you in improv is to say yes and to things. And really the heart with that is one, just to accept things for what they are and not try to resist everything, but also to try to elevate and add to it. I think yes and is a beautiful thing. I think it has become a little bit cliche. Corporate America has really latched on to the yes and thing, but
I feel like it's important.
Yeah, when you're a teacher, weird stuff happens to you all the time and people say crazy stuff to you all the time. And I think it's very easy if you're not used to being in stressful situations to get hot under the collar or get defensive. But when you're used to improvising, you can just kind of roll with anything. I'll give you a quick example, actually. One of my first times in a new school, I was with a class and everyone told me the class was rough and I had enough experience at that point. It didn't intimidate me, but everyone was like, oh, Mike, this fourth block class, whatever. So we got started and I was introducing myself and I was asking students if they had like everyone's names. And I was like, oh, by the way, if you guys have any nicknames or whatever, let me know and I'll learn that. And so there was this one kid who you could kind of tell he had a chip on his shoulder. Was some kids you can just kind of tell they're kind of looking to argue a little bit or push you a little bit. And he was like, yeah, you can call me daddy. And well, let me ask real quick. You're a teacher, you're in a new school, there's some freshman, looks at you, you're twice his age. He says you can call him daddy. What's your knee-jerk reaction? And don't think, just say, what do? You're in front of the class, there's 25 people in the room, they're all looking at you. A 14-year-old says, call me daddy. How do you react? Don't think about it, just tell me.
Go to the office.
Daddy. Oh, no.
Yeah, so one of those things, now you have a weird power dynamic, and now you're going to be on a list somewhere. So,
it sucks.
So I really quickly, I just said, I should probably get to know you better first.
Yeah.
And so everybody laughed at that. Everybody laughed at that. It diffused the situation. That kid saw that I wasn't there to try to, make a message out of him. After that, I pulled him aside and I was like, dude, comments like that aren't cool. Come on. But it was enough in the time I could diffuse it and I could control it. Now the joke wasn't on me. Now it's, oh, the new guy is kind of fun. He's not going to be someone we challenge because they'll probably lose the challenge. That's one of 1,000 examples I could give. But yeah, I think being able to, one, accept things and think on your feet is good. For part one. Part two is the big thing with improv is when you get called to go on stage, someone then tells you what the handle is. So you might know what game you're playing, but it's like, okay, you're a car salesman and your boyfriend just turned into a dinosaur. And then you need to react immediately. And so I think in life, whether it's in school or outside of school, a lot of times you'll just get a text message that could derail your day or find out news or something happened that could derail your day. But if you're in the headspace that something absurd is going to happen, I'm going to laugh about it and try to find a way to grapple with it, own it, maybe make something funny out of it. It's healthy. Like you'll find if anyone's ever around me and we get really troubling news, usually the first thing I do is I just kind of put my head down and start laughing. Not because I'm a psychopath, just because I'm kind of in that mindset where like I find joy in the absurdity. And without having a background in improv, I think that can be a little bit more intimidating than it would be otherwise.
How much time do we have left on the
2 minutes?
2 minutes 50?
All right. So I think the plan is we start a new meeting. We ask a couple more questions, maybe because the meetings are 40 minutes. So I think when there's 20 minutes left, I think we should start the improv game.
Yeah. I saw the text where you said, oh my God, what was it called? Unfortunately.
It's called
Unfortunately. Yeah, dude, that game is so fun. I think, and it's easy
I don't even know what it is.
But it's the best for how much space we have because we can just sit right here.
Hey guys, I'm going to tell you, doing a game in this format is not going to go well, but if you're really adamant, we can try it. There's a litany of reasons I can explain to you why it won't work. But it's not a good idea.
And I know all the reasons. We're both fully aware of all the reasons why this is not going to be funny at all.
But you're hoping to make shitty content, and that I'm fine with.
Yes. And in doing that is the humor, It might not be the best humor.
I'll give you guys notes, and then we can reflect on.
You give us notes and leave and never come back.
Yeah. Well, no, you always got to take feedback. Okay, so you're going to end the meeting, and then just send me the new link, and I'll talk to you in a minute, okay?
Also, you're... Are you waiting for him?
There's no time limit until he joins.
So we can do whatever we want. Hello, people. This is our show, and we're funny now. And then
Bill, sorry. Right as I was hitting leave, I heard you start to say, "Oh, and also," and then I missed it. I didn't Sorry.
No,
what were you telling me?
I was laughing when that happened. What you were saying, because I feel like when you said that, I kind of stopped. I didn't even answer or respond to what you said. I was just like, I agree with all that. I see that in almost everyday life, you know, and definitely in teaching. That's kind of how I imagined improv will help, and it's not. It's like it's kind of small little things sort like that, but they have a big impact. I would say, at least in my
Well,
opinion,
let me tell you too. I can tell you, being in various leadership roles, either in school or at camp. I was worked at summer camp for a long time. Did some improv there too. I mentioned it next. There's a lot of times where there's a big group setting, and unexpectedly, oh, we got 20 minutes to fill, and someone looks around. And the times people say, Mike, can you do something? It's been a handful of times. There's once at camp there was an issue. I had to kill a full hour, and there's 500 kids in this camp and like 90 staff who are working. And the event was poorly planned, so I had to have an hour off the top of my head.
Oh my God.
Even this past year, I was doing freshman orientation, and the plan was to have a resource officer do a lecture on something and then have pizza, but the lecture ended short and the pizza came late. So I've got like over 100 brand new freshmen waiting to be in the school. They start to get kind of squirrely. It's not their fault. It's they're 14 and they have nothing to do in a cafeteria. So bosses are like, Mike, can you fill this time? And if I didn't have a background and like make things up, go figure it out on the fly, build the plane in the air, that'd be really challenging to do. So, but even too, sometimes you'll find, and that's kind of the big scale stuff. And I think the common thread there is if you don't do it, you're just going to be humiliated publicly, which is not a good feeling for anybody. There's a lot of times too where I just need to hang out with people I don't want to hang out with. Like if it's a dinner party and like you have relatives there who want to blast, or like you have friends and like, oh, can my buddy come? He's the best. Meanwhile, he's not the best. I think the skills you learn in improv, not only the talking, but more importantly, how to listen, actively listen to people. That makes sometimes strange or awkward social situations go a lot smoother.
What?
That was Trevor's thing when in 10th grade, when he was my first student. I would give instructions no matter what it was. He would just like pause and then go, huh?
That sounds like it got funnier and funnier every time.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't never know if it was a joke or if he was just confused. I mean, it's normal as a kid to tune out adults. I still do it sometimes as an adult. It's a Charlie Brown thing, you know?
Yeah. Oh, that makes it so much more funny. Okay.
You still don't know if I was serious. If I was
Yeah,
confused
I don't
or
want to
not.
know. I like the mystery. I don't want to pull back the curtain that far.
Yeah, like you're just stupid enough, or you might be serious, but also like
3 years later, you're still confused.
But hey, not every mystery is meant to be solved. That's the beauty of it.
Listen, some things are just confusing. Sometimes I'm just confused, but struggling to find questions to build off because it feels like you've just answered almost every single thing that I've.
Well,
Let me pull out
I might have
notes app.
Well, no, I think chapters. There's 4 chapters to this story with a short epilogue that might inspire some new questions for you.
Awesome.
So things are great. I started the team. I'm co-teaching the class. It's awesome. And then I go to college, which is where you guys are now. So when I was a freshman, and here is actually the deepest valley of the story, if you will. When I was in college, I went in a little bit insecure because in high school, I was really involved with theater, really involved with improv. I wouldn't say I was like popular in a traditional sense, but I had a big group of friends, so I was very social. And so I neglected my studies, I'm afraid to say. I didn't have terrible grades, but I certainly wasn't like an A student. And so in college, I felt a little bit inadequate, and I really wanted to be a bit more serious about reading and studying and learning stuff. So initially when I came in, I had all this infrastructure I was spoiled with. I think whatever you do in your life, you assume everyone else is kind of doing. So for me, I had this beautiful performing arts center, this super dedicated director. We're doing shows all the time. And even not when we're doing plays, my school had like coffee houses where kids would read poetry and I'd do improv scenes and stuff. And that just wasn't the culture at college. And so when I came in, I was like, yeah, it's super easy to start stuff. I made an improv team. I tried making an improv team in college. And honestly, there was just so much paperwork to do. I was like 18. I was like, man, I don't want to do all this, and I haven't really made that many friends here I want to do theater with anyways. Maybe I should just not do any theater, and I'm just going to focus on like studying and doing my own thing, which in some ways I did learn a lot, and it wasn't all negative, but I made myself a little bit more of a hermit than I should have, and I passed up on having a lot of cool opportunities to create a culture at that school and perform and make a lot of friends. So I kind of had a negative trade-off. And there was another kid I tried doing it with. I think he tried getting a group going, but it just never really got off the ground. So I think a regret is I had an idea and I just didn't have the stamina to do it because I was being a little bit selfish. And in retrospect, it hurt me because you can definitely balance having a social life and learning. I just didn't have the fortitude, I guess. That changed a little bit when I was working at summer camp in the summers because I made an improv program there. The summer camp, like I mentioned, it had like 500 kids or so. So there was the traditional outdoor stuff, kayaking, outdoor living skills, sports, whatever. There's a lot of also kind of niche stuff. Like we had an engineering program there at one point. So I made an improv group. That was a lot different just because it was elementary and middle school kids, which was kind of cool for me because it really made me better, I think, at explaining games, because improv is kind of hard to explain, but having to pare down when I was doing it high schoolers in a way that a 8 or 9-year-old could understand was a good experience. And we always kept things PG, or tried to keep things PG. So that was nice. And then one day I got the text message that changed everything. My former director reached out to me. I had seen, I think there was once or twice I came in to MC a Milkman show, and the group was still doing pretty well, still kind of a fledgling group. But he texted me and he said, Mike, I love the Milkmen, but I'm doing so much with plays at the school. I don't know if I can give it the time it deserves. I know you're about to graduate. I know you're trying to become a teacher. How would you and one of your best friends, also named Mike, want to come back to the school and coach the team? And so that opened up a whole new world for me where now I could go back 4 years after the fact, see the baby I'd created in its toddler phase and help get it into the phase that it's in now. And so I'll pause for a moment in case you have any questions on the dark era, but from going from a student and participant to being a coach of the team was very significant.
That is very significant. It's, I see that in how I've been trying to start an improv group. And I just kind of had... So it's sort of a personal question, but also I feel like it could be used for everyone in some way, somehow. Starting a group, I think, is incredibly hard, and trying to find like the super specific. But the only reason why our group didn't do very well is because we had to make a time that worked for everyone, but we couldn't make a time that worked for everyone who wanted to do it, and I got stuck and didn't make a time. And it just didn't happen. And everyone wanted to do it, but no one. I would have to, like, if I were to choose any time, someone would be kicked out, and I felt bad for that. But I ended up not doing that, and no one got. And I feel bad about that. So I need to know. And you were there for all of it, and it was stressing me out.
The meeting time was 3 p.m. How does that sound for you, Mike? A meeting time for a college group at 3 p.m. on campus.
Good. Sounds good.
Not a single well, so but it was 3 p.m. on a Wednesday.
Yeah, and like everybody's home by then.
Yeah, most classes end at 2, and then people have to stay for an hour. It was, it was a weird time frame, and there's some classes that go on. It was more just like how can you like make a decision like that, where like you're gonna have to choose a time and someone's gonna feel left out. How can you like deal with that, or how can you like
no, I hear you. That's a good question.
I have
what
2
responses.
It's
I do.
You gotta sacrifice people.
Well, yeah, in a way.
Not
so here's what I would say. I have 2 responses to you. The first is, I think it feels hard to do a group. It's not actually hard to do a group. It just feels really hard. And I'm not saying that with judgment, because I also thought those feelings were reality as well. All you need to have a group is somebody in a room saying we're doing a thing. If you and Trevor say, this is the room where we do improv every Thursday at 10, that's now the group. And so I think you can be a little bit flexible with what it means to have a group, for one. And once you get started, it's like the old baseball movie where the kid chokes on the hot dog. If you build it, they will come. At first, it's a core group of true believers. You get some momentum, people flock to you. So far as people feeling left out goes, there's never a time in life where you can make a choice that's good for everybody. And being a nice person, it's good to try to accommodate people. But the reality is you just can't. And so, as you mentioned, if you try to accommodate everyone, usually just nothing ever happens. And it's like, well, at least we didn't hurt anybody's feelings, except now nobody also had, it's kind of an opportunity cost, right? It's so that one person didn't feel left out. 10 people aren't part of something that's really awesome, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're looking at it from like, I don't know if you've taken philosophy 101 yet, but if you're looking at it from a utilitarian standpoint, you've done more harm than good. I think to avoid negative feelings, you just do things in a way that's objective. So saying, even if it's a survey, it could be, hey guys, there's unfortunately no time that works for everyone. Here's a survey. Whatever has the most votes is what we're going to do. We're going to change this date once every year so that there's a chance. Or it could just be, hey guys, I'm starting a group. It's going to happen Mondays at 3. If you can be there, great. If not, no hard feelings. You're invited to the show. Not everything needs to be for everybody, in my opinion. I see Trevor's got a hot take he's sitting on.
Yeah, I was giving Billy that death glare because very early in the group, when there was problems about availability, I gave Billy the idea to email a Google form about when people could.
And we did do that, but do you want to end up happening? So I'm the like vice president, and no one watches these podcasts, right?
35 subscribers.
Okay, so as the vice president, I feel like the president of this club hasn't showed up to any meetings, hasn't showed up to like anything, but is adamant that they have a time that works for no one, and that is like, I don't know how to feel about it. You know, it's almost a little annoying, I would say, and
yeah.
I don't know how to deal with that sort of thing. Like, I've talked to people about it. I've talked to Trevor about it. I've talked to parents about it. But, like, I like to get just more opinions on, like...
Yeah. Well, for one, and this is, well, like most things, it has to do with improv. It will help you in your life as well.
Mhm.
You might be under the impression right now that you can control how other people feel. And so I know you said you don't want people to feel left out or feel burdened or whatever. You can't control that. So I'd focus on what you can control. What you can control is you're running a group, and this is the time that we're having practice. If there's a different time, you can have practice 3 times a week if you want to. Maybe some people go to practice every day. Some people go on Mondays, some on Wednesdays. Why not? So you can't really control that. You said a word that really bothered me. Actually, you guys guess. Do you know what word bothered me? And it wasn't an offensive word. I saw where it was going.
Annoyed?
Nope. The word you said was club. I don't think it's good to have an improv club, because what a club is people come and people go when they please. I think what you need is an improv team. If there's not a lot of interest, so like my first year with the Milkman, we just asked people who we knew from theater, the school, to do it. There was one kid who walked in the room, was like, "Oh, can I be in?" And we were like, "Yes." But by a couple years in, we'd usually have about between 40 and 60 people audition and would pick 10. And we had to make a lot of cuts. And it's not fun to make cuts because you want people being left out. But the issue with the club is that nobody's committed. You can't work on a group cohesion. You can't have a group vision. So if you have a club, leave it. I'd say make a team. And the team you audition for, maybe you can have it every semester or something. But that gives you some consistency and also some commitment. If you're part of a club, maybe you go, maybe you don't, maybe you're tired, maybe I don't want to wait an hour between class, whatever. If you're on a team, like that's a commitment, like you are on a sports team, you know? Also, I think having a group dynamic is important because you never script things, but like how you do an improv with somebody you've done scenes with 100 times, there's a chemistry there that you can't just make up with somebody you meet on the street probably. And so, yeah, why are you going to have a club? Someone's going to go twice. Now they're in a show. Now they're doing scenes with you. Do they even know how to play games? You know? So I would veer away from having a club.
More of like a troupe, a team.
Yeah. Even if your team is 6 people.
You can
look at Whose Line Is It Anyway?
You can do anything with 6 people with improv for the most part.
I mean, if you look at Whose Line, there's 3 core guys, a host, and then they have like 3 or 4 alternates who sub in throughout the weeks to keep things fresh. But that's like a whole company. Like if you had a team of 4 committed people who practice once or twice a week, then you did a show a couple times a year. I'd rather have that than a club where everyone's welcome and it's going to be on Sundays at 8:45 and everyone's going to make it and stay for 20 minutes and then maybe we'll go out for a hoagie after. Like I don't think so. Have a team and make it lean and mean.
That's something that like feels so obvious, but you never think of it because no one says that to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, having a club. I actually really like that idea and makes me want to make a whole thing now. But
Well,
You
have
know,
both. You know what you can do? You can
can do
have a
both.
club where everybody's welcome, and then you can have that go from 7 to 8, and then 8 to 9 is where the team stays, and that's where the real stuff gets down. Like even in choruses, like usually there's like a main chorus, and there's a select ensemble where like the tight group does it, you know? So it's okay. I think you could conceive, I mean, you're only freshmen now, but conceivably, you could have a really tight, great improv group and then people who practice. Actually, that was one phase in the Milkman. It didn't last forever, but we don't like leaving people out because, you know, it's not to be mean or clicky. Just some people aren't good or they're not good yet. They need practice. So the Milkman was always like 10 people, but for a while, we had a group of like 15 people we called the Herd. And there are people who were interested in improv, who weren't really ready to be on a team yet, but they would still have practices and they would still do games. And sometimes they would like move up to the main group, or if people are sick, maybe they can be part of a show or something like that. But it was still like a way for people to practice and be welcome to be part of a community, but not also have more pressure than they can handle at that time, you know? So have a club and have a team. I know you feel busy because you're doing textbooks and essays. This is the most free time you're ever going to have in your life. It's never going to be this good again. It only gets harder and will only get harder. So if you feel busy now, cope with that feeling for a few minutes. You're not that busy.
No, I'm already feeling the like going up, you know, like in high school, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so busy. I don't have any free time, but I played games all night, all day, you know, I'm like, oh, I don't have any free time. I only play games for 5 hours a day.
Up until 6 a.m. playing Assassin's Creed Rogue. I'm too
Right.
busy.
Red Dead 2, I can't.
I mean, yeah, if you or anyone listening feels like you don't have free time, I grant you that. Just do me the favor and go on your phone and look at how much time you spent on social media apps today.
I would rather,
you know, and then you realize, oh, I see where my time's going, you know? But it's also not a punishment. Like practice can be stressful at points, but really it's supposed to be fun, you know? So
Trevor, I feel like I've been kind of, you know, taking over this entire.
You've been derailing my fucking show. Is what you wanted to be the Billy show.
I'm giving you quality content. Subscribe to Billy D. Anyways.
Yeah.
Subscribe to Billy D.
Big shot with 700 subscribers.
723 subscribers, actually. Whoa. Right? I can actually look up the numbers.
That's impressive. Don't take them for granted. Got to fight for each one.
Like
half of them are probably bots, but
no, they're probably a quarter. Okay, be a little generous. Come on, man.
All right, okay, a quarter I can accept.
Awesome.
But I mean, it's not a bad thing. I think 90% of Twitter is bots, and so if that's Twitter, then you only having half is, you know, in some ways better.
Yeah. I think you've kind of answered you've given me kind of what I kind of wanted to give this podcast is a little bit of like advice on those type of hard thoughts, those type of hard like questions you have in yourself, because it's like they're stressful having those thoughts in your mind of like, oh my God, I need to help everyone, but also I can't help everyone, but
it's that white knight syndrome.
I'm just too good.
Yeah.
Well, to relate further, I loved being the coach of the Milkmen, and the dynamic was I was working with one of my best friends, and we're kind of in the shadow of like our mentor, who was our teacher for many years and director. But being in charge of a group, it's a little bit hard to feel like you should have any say or authority. Because on one hand, I had a lot of experience. I was good. I'd emceed shows after I graduated, but like I'm 22 years old and I'm now directing the 17-year-old. So it's not like I'm older than them, but I'm not that much older. But now I'm responsible for hearing their concerns and coaching them and organizing shows and making sure everyone's doing the right thing and in the right place. So I concede that dynamic can be awkward. The thing is, no one likes to be in charge because you feel like you're stepping on toes or like you're being bossy. But the fact is, everyone wants somebody to be in charge. People like being told, not in like a condescending, let me tell you what to do way, but people like getting direction. They like getting feedback.
So there's a sense of order.
Yeah. Or even like with practice, like you don't want to appear that you're a busybody telling everyone what to do. But if you ever go to a practice for something and no one has any games planned or like structure planned, it's miserable. So usually what we would do is give you a little bit more context. The Milkmen got big enough. They had 10 shows a year. We did one show every month. We'd usually get a turnout of between like 150 and 300 people per show. Made a ton of money. Usually what we'd do is would ask all the Milkies to invite people from one. really big part of the school culture, selling tickets at lunch and advertising and things. But also, just about every month would team up with a different school organization and say, we'll fundraise for you, have your people come, help us advertise. We'll give you guys half the proceeds, because doing an improv show costs next to nothing. So it's like $5 or $3 a head to get in, give half to the group, you have a big crowd, everyone's happy. So it would raise like $10,000 a year for different local school or community organizations. So as much as it was like a fun way for us to perform, it was also kind of like a philanthropic group.
How much of it did you
Yeah,
pocket?
so doing that, usually what we'd do is we'd create a show before our first practice. So we'd say, this show, we're going to play these 12 games. And then if we knew between the show would have, let's say, 5 practices, we'd run the games, see what worked well. And then if you were showing up, let's say, for instance, we have 10 people on the team. If you show up to every practice, you're going to be in 4 games. If you miss 1, you'll be in 3. If you only come to 1, you'll be in 1 game, and everyone does the group game. So that was kind of a way to incentivize coming, because it's easy to get distracted, especially because the group goes a whole year. Some people like to be there, but they're really into basketball, or they have driver's ed or something. That was kind of a fair way to be like, you're on the team. How much you're in the actual show is based on how much you practice, and then go from there. And sometimes, people wouldn't always like if they didn't have a spot on the show, but it's like, well, there's going to be another show. Come to more practices, and that's fine.
So before we get into the final improv game segment of the episode, I have 2 more questions for you.
Okay. Please ask the second one first.
Even if it's a follow-up.
Team Tom or Mark?
Oh, for Blink 182, I love them both. I've always been more of a Mark guy. I think personality-wise, I'm probably a little bit more similar to him, and I like his side projects better. But no shade to Tom. My youngest son's middle name is Thomas, as an homage. So love them both, but I'd say Mark is also, Mark's the only person to have never had a break from Blink 182. Tom's had to leave a couple times, so I think he's more of a core of the band.
Not a big fan of Angels and Airwaves.
I would like to ask you a kind of just a very not off-topic question. What would you say a band that is super underground, like we wouldn't know them? What's a band that you love that is small? Like, what's your favorite smaller artist, you would say, if you have any?
Is this like my hipster test?
Anything. I just want to know.
Okay, I have 2 in mind. One was small, but they got kind of big in the last year or 2. You guys on the Hot Mulligan train?
No.
I've heard of them. Phoenix probably told me about them.
Yeah, Hot Mulligan is awesome. They're kind of up and comers. They got, I wouldn't say mainstream. They got kind of big in the last year or 2, but they're great. There's another band called Anxious who's been really good. They're kind of like a fun kind of poppy, like I guess like a post-hardcore band, you could say. Like their stuff. They just made an album this year called Bambi. It's really great. Turns out one of the guys at my barbershop is friends with their guitarist, so that's a nice little homegrown connection I wasn't aware of. But
that's cool. Get the insider connection.
Yeah, if you haven't gotten into Hot Mulligan, they're all killer, no filler. Great mix of kind of like post-hardcore and pop punk aesthetic. So
definitely gonna have to
number
check
one
that
hot
out.
new band.
I just love looking for, like, whenever I'm listening to music, I try to find like smaller artists, or like, because I love just going into the algorithm and just like finding the smallest artists whenever I'm looking for music. I love.
Well, you know what works for me, that is a nice little thing I do, is that I like to put on like custom either playlists or radio stations, like the ones that they make you on Spotify, and then sometimes you'll just hear a song out of the blue and it's like, this is great, and you can just download the whole album. Like I just downloaded a bunch of Cold War stuff. I haven't gotten super them and a Sincere Engineer. I just downloaded a bunch of. I haven't listened to them enough to have a strong opinion, but it's been fun so far, so can't complain.
Awesome. So those are the off.
I see you're rocking the Radiohead shirt, so I appreciate you supporting the underground artists. And
okay. Listen, I like underground artists, but then you got Tom York, my boy.
Oh no, I mean, and I'm not. I like plenty of indie and quasi underground bands, but I like mainstream stuff too. Like I think my favorite artist of the last year was probably Charlie XCX. Like I think Brat, and I'm not saying that ironically. I think Brat was like one of the best pop albums ever made. So it's good to be eclectic, like pop, like punk, like hardcore, like classic stuff, like country and folk. There's good things to be found in every corner. So.
There's most genres I say I could like. There's only one genre that I don't think can be good.
What's that?
Is country. That's just my take. I don't know what I've yet to hear.
Yeah.
Actually, that's not true. There are some decent, good country music, but like mainstream country.
Yeah, I never got super. I never got super into country, but I mean, there's like there's more pop country and then more classic storytelling country. There's stuff. I'd say the closest to liking country I like is I'm not a Swiftie, but I do like Taylor Swift in a healthy, casual way. I think her early stuff is fun. I was always a big fan of Bright Eyes. The lead singer is Connor Oberst, and he has a bunch of side projects too. And he kind of has transitions from like emo to indie and his modern stuff. Like sometimes it's folk, sometimes it veers into country. So if you're looking for some very approachable country with more of like a folk emo aesthetic, Connor Oberst, his solo stuff is probably pretty accessible for you.
I would like to mention that I'm gonna end up taking Billy to that show in Boston, and I'm honestly more excited to see Glitterer over Sanity Real Estate. And I was playing it in the car for him, and he likes it.
Great. No, Glitter is I'd be more excited for them too. They were the first band I thought of when he mentioned underground stuff, but I think because the lead singer's from Title Fight, people have caught on to them. But yeah, Glitter is really, really special.
Speaking about underground, they're like the biggest underground band is what my older brother likes to say, because I go with him, is Fish. Did you know Fish? Ever seen Fish?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never got into Fish, but I'm very aware of them. Yeah.
Their music itself on Spotify and stuff, wouldn't listen to it very often, but their live shows, they're the only band that like the live shows are like, not only band, but their live stuff significantly better.
I can counter. Oh my god.
Nice.
I have a rebuttal.
You have a rebuttal? All right.
Lightning Bolt and Death Grips. Live shows are better than their recorded music.
I listened to one album by Lightning Bolt, and I couldn't get into it. It was too just, and I was like, "Ow, my head!" It hurt. It hurt.
Yeah, I'm not familiar, but based on your description, I probably will not listen to Lightning Bolt.
It's very just.
They're a noise rock band from Rhode Island.
I do like me some good heavy metal, and I love me some weird electronic.
It's not heavy metal. It's noise rock.
It's basically that's why I'm saying I like heavy.
But
noise rock and heavy metal are like cousins.
Yeah, but I brought that up earlier about the music show because I know you're gonna be in for a treat.
I'm excited.
He is very oblivious of what we're getting into.
Yeah, he was just like, you want to go to some 3 shows?
Hey, well that's great, man. When you have the time to get about and explore, that's
Exactly.
You guys will have a blast. I'm happy for you.
Mm-hmm.
I was mentioning the Billy earlier, how one of my like bigger comedy influences is Norm Macdonald, and I wanted to ask you if you have any significant influences in your comedy and improv style.
I've had so many influences in my life that I'll feel guilty because after this interview I'll like forget someone who's like essential. I'd say when I was a kid, the first thing I really gravitated to was Space Ghost Coast to Coast, which is an old Adult Swim show that would be on at like 2 a.m., very avant-garde and weird. I'd say when I got older, I really loved The Lonely Island. I found them before they got popular and went on SNL and made like all their famous songs and stuff. I like that too, but they used to have the show called Awesome Town, which is like a sketch comedy show. I always thought that was funny. Mad TV was on in my house a lot. Whitest Kids You Know. So I grew up with a lot of like sketch comedy and stuff like that.
I just discovered maybe like a month ago, Whitest Kids You Know with Trevor Moore.
Yeah. Trevor passed away a few years ago.
Yeah.
Actually, the movie Weapons that came out was made as an in memoriam to Trevor Moore.
Oh.
And there's a weird scene with hot dogs on the tray that's actually a throwback to an old Whitest Kids You Know sketch. But yeah, back in like 2005 and 6, where YouTube was just starting, would have like a grainy laptop with a super loud fan, and me and my friends would just huddle around and watch their skits and Lonely Island stuff. Those are probably the biggest ones that were formative in that time. Also, I've always been a really big pro wrestling fan, and I think not that that's always comedy, but it's sometimes comedy. The aesthetic of how you run an improv show definitely pulls a lot from wrestling shows in terms of cutting promos in the ring is can be influential in how you might argue with somebody, or have little things like entrance music or hyping things up, etc. Knowing how to work with a crowd. I got a lot of that from pro wrestling.
It's not going to take the whole 40 minutes, but I would like to just start a new meeting for the sake of the outro after the game.
Okay.
If that's all right with you.
That's fine. You send me the new link.
All right.
We'll see you momentarily, everyone.
You left in the middle of your sentence again.
Well, so everybody, I hope you guys are enjoying this podcast. I hope you're getting very insightful knowledge. I hope that I am at least somewhat entertaining to you folk. I try my best here. I'm only getting paid 20 cents an hour, and we're on here for like 40 minutes, so I'm only getting like
you sign in the contract. You cannot disclose how much money you make.
I don't make 40 cents an hour.
And we're back.
Don't worry, guys. I didn't actually die. That was actually a skeleton prop, and if you really thought I died, that's actually really stupid of you, because why would I actually turn into a skeleton that quickly? What?
I want to run to the bathroom.
Why would you turn into a skeleton that quickly? The skeleton that quickly?
Jeffrey's gonna keep my chair warm until I'm back from the bathroom.
Oh yeah, see, like this is literally Jeffrey right here. Why would you ever think?
If short joins is gaslight about that.
Me and Michael are gonna have a conversation. Oh, and you're gone. Oh, hello again.
Has it been that long? Oh, Trevor, what have they done to you?
Yeah, Trevor's gone now.
Well, Trevor, I know that you're just a corpse now, but to answer your question, I thought of one more very important influence, and I'm kind of saying it to you guys for homework if you're not familiar. I don't know if you know Christopher Guest at all.
Oh, I've heard the name. I don't think I can't like picture.
Yeah, so I think he's worked at Second City, I'm sure, very big in improv, but he's made a ton of movies that are all improvised. The most famous one that he's been involved with is This Is Spinal Tap, which a sequel just came out for that. But in high school, we used to watch this one called Waiting for Guffman a lot, which is kind of about him being in this like kind of small town off Broadway, and he has this really crappy cast of actors who are trying to do like a show that's really important to them. It's all about the history of the town and how they're known for stools. But what they do is they improvise for like 20 hours and they just cut down the 90 minutes that make sense for a movie.
Dude,
but I always respected and admired Christopher Guest a lot. He's awesome.
That's an actual movie?
Yeah, like so the ones they're big with is Waiting for Guffman is my favorite. It's kind of a play on Waiting for Godot, where there's a film critic named Guffman who they're waiting for to come. They have a show called Best in Show, which is all about a fancy dog show. This is Spinal Tap is a big one. They have a whole list of stuff. So if you guys don't have anything going on tonight, go find a stream of Waiting for Guffman, and it might change your life. It's hilarious.
Do what's hilarious is hello.
Who is this?
I'm not cheating on you, I swear. Anyway.
Wait, Trev, was that not you? Are you alive? I've already lit a candle for you and everything.
Oh, he's alive.
Oh, I thought you were ribbing me. Oh.
Look at that.
I paid like $200 for this. It's a prop from some YouTube channel called Atunche Films.
That's gonna pay for itself once you guys get
I think I actually emailed you about him. I sent you some videos.
Oh wait, so I wanted to say before that.
I don't know. I forget.
For your rooting.
Sorry, what?
Oh, so that idea of having like a movie based off of like an improv skit, I've literally written. They're gone now, unfortunately, because I was stupid and deleted them because I thought they were dumb. But like, wrote an entire script but only sections that would be like improvised, and then that would be a show of like, here's the basic story plot, but there's a lot of like wiggle room for like improvisation.
Yeah, well, that's how they do Curb Your Enthusiasm. I was always a big fan of Seinfeld and Curb Your Enthusiasm too. Like, I think Larry David only writes like half a page of notes of what the basic premise is, but it's a 30-minute show and it's almost all improvised.
Yeah,
so.
I didn't know that was like I thought I was original. I think that's actually where I heard it from, is because I told that to one of my teachers, and he was just like, this guy already did that. And I was like, well,
Like,
thanks for crushing my dreams.
30 years ago.
Yeah, thanks for crushing my dreams.
No,
Larry David.
Actually, Curb Your Enthusiasm ended 1 year ago, so it's a very still modern show.
Very
But I
good.
mean, anyone you talk to at any phase in life has influences, so it's not like a bad thing. You'd have an idea like your Curb Your Enthusiasm. Only challenge is being better than Curb Your Enthusiasm, which obviously would be challenging to do, but doesn't mean you can't be inspired by it. That's fine.
We can do
Everything's derivative from something.
We got
That's okay.
Jeffrey. We can do it. We can top Larry David.
Oh, yes, we can.
Well, work at it,
How about like
no reason not to work at it.
another question, just because I'm interested. Do you watch like stand-up comedians and stuff at all ever? It feels like it's definitely different
sometimes.
from improv, but I get a lot of inspiration from their jokes, like how they speak, how they talk and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot can be said for stage presence. I wouldn't say I'm like an expert in stand-up, but whenever a special's available, I like to watch it. I don't follow the show anymore, but I used to watch that Kill Tony show a lot. Where the premise is like they'll have a couple comedians on stage and people from the audience sign up to do a minute. So I don't have that much. I've never tried stand-up. I respect it. I'm not an aficionado, but I think it's great. I think the big difference with stand-up is you need to know how to respond to your crowd and listen to the crowd, and you have a plan of what you're going to say. Sometimes you might need to adjust on the fly, but with improv, it's really all about trying to make your partner look good and making something make sense with your partner. So the skills on the surface when you're watching it, it looks similar, but what you're actually doing is very different.
Oh no, it's so vastly different. I've wanted to do stand-up before, but like even just practicing, it's like, whoa, this is so much more different because it's a scripted thing, and I feel like I'm much worse at scripted things, which I need to get better at, just because I like being in theater and stuff. But stand-up is, I feel like stand-up is harder in some ways. Maybe just for me, stand-up is harder than improv.
I'll admit that I had a little doubt in you because compared to me, I wrote an entire I put in a notes app like an outline for this interview. And then I asked you if you made an outline, and you're like, "No, it's all in my noggin."
Yeah. I mean, Michael,
it takes all types.
Michael, I have to say, it's very impressive that you can just continue to, and this isn't me being like, oh my God, you're just going on and on, but you're like, you're able to like carry this all in a way, you can continue the story. It's all fresh. It's brand new, and you're able to answer these questions. I just want to.
Well, I'm happy it was interesting for you. I feel like I only kind of scratched the surface, but hopefully whatever I gave you, you can do something with, improv is something I can, if I'm not careful, I can talk about for hours at a time. So
I can do the exact same thing.
Thank you for making us look somewhat competent.
Well, hey, you know what? I think it's always great to create, no matter what you're creating, whether it's a podcast or an improv group or photography, or if you're a chef in the kitchen. It's always better to create than to consume when you're able to. And the good thing with improv, in some ways, compared to stand-up, I guess, it's a little bit cowardly. Because if your stand-up act sucks, it's like, oh yeah, I worked on that bit for the last 3 months, no one laughed. With improv, you have the cushion. If you tell a bad joke, told a bad joke, thought of it on the fly. I have a new joke coming in 30 seconds. I love the simplicity. Like with theater's a lot of fun, and I got a lot out of doing plays. But with plays, you have to worry about, do you know your lines? Does your scene partners know their lines? Is everyone in the right costume? Is the right prop on stage? Do we have to change the set? I like how in improv, it's a black stage. Everyone's wearing a normal t-shirt. You get an idea and you just create something out of nothing. And in some ways, it's less stressful because you don't have anything else to worry about. In other ways, it's much more stressful because you have hundreds of people watching you and you have no idea what you're going to say. So let's hope that your inner voice is working well that day. That's what I love about it. It's so exhilarating to have no confidence in what you're going to say, then open your mouth and something makes sense, and God willing, you get a nice reaction.
And I feel like with improv, whenever I do it and also watch it, I think it's funny when you are super funny and also when you're super unfunny for totally different reasons. And I know when I'm on stage being totally unfunny, because I've been on stage like 10, 15 times at this point with shows and stuff. I know when I'm going on, I'm like, oh, nothing I'm saying is landing, but it's definitely, people are like laughing at this, and I hope they are. Like, but like, I don't know. I try to like, I feel like this is hard for a lot of people, but if you go onto stage and you say something bad, or not bad, but just like unfunny, I see it as, oh, people are still laughing at this. Maybe not for the reasons exactly I want to, but they're still going to find it enjoyable of like, oh my God, bombing right now. As long as you can like do both. If you can bomb and be hilarious at the same time when you're doing improv in the same show, I think that that's also pretty important. At least that's how I've tried to see it. Maybe try to cope.
That's fair.
I don't know how.
Well, actually, you know what I'll do is I'm going to extend your point if I could. Then I'll tie it back to the beginning before we wrap things up.
Of course.
I think the most important skill in improv is listening. Partially, that's listening to your partner. Because if you're always thinking, what am I going to say next? You might miss the cues you're getting about who they are, what's motivating them, maybe a pun you can think of based on what they're saying. So that's very important, but also listening to the audience. And I think the beautiful thing with improv is if you're doing a play and the audience doesn't like the play, you can't change the script. But sometimes you might have a character or a take on something and you can tell the audience is bored. And being able to be like my big kind of cliche I do when I was doing improv a lot, either the audience got disengaged or we got out of ideas and we were stuck. I would just pull off a mask and say I was a different character. I'd be like, I'm actually your son, and I've been in disguise this whole time, and recontextualize what was happening. So being able to just listen and also respond is important. And tying it back to your first question about how improv helped me either in my personal life or in teaching, a lot of times kids don't want to be in class, and sometimes, you know, a lesson's boring, sometimes it's more exciting. But if you get in the habit of being able to be in tune with when people are checking out, knowing how to adjust on the fly to try to get them back on your side is a really important skill to have, because it can be really intimidating when you're in front of a room and you can just tell based on the shuffling, the eye contact, that no one wants to hear what you're saying. So being able, and that's something, you know, you might struggle with in a group setting, or even sometimes at dinner. You ever catch yourself at dinner and halfway through you're like, oh no, I'm the one telling a long, boring story. Everyone's waiting for me to finish. Being able to like recognize no one's enjoying this, let me switch. That's a really important skill to have. So I wouldn't feel bad about bombing. I wouldn't relish it though. It's good to acknowledge, oh, this isn't going well. Okay, let me flip that switch. We're going over. But yeah, you need to be also have the humility to know that you can bomb. And then, but also it doesn't kill you. Some people will never perform on stage because they don't want to look dumb. But you knowing I can bomb, accept it with grace and course correct is a very powerful thing for performance, but also for your own well-being.
It kind of teaches you that, like, as long as you try again, you learn from the mistake you made, you can go back on the stage and be funnier than you were last time. Because I feel like, obviously, as I did it for longer, I started to get like better at it. I'm definitely a little rusty now because I haven't done it in like a year. But at the end of my senior year, I would say I was pretty decent at it because, you know, my brain was it was absorbing all the knowledge of how to do improv. So I feel like, and also just my entire life has just been improv. I had a point with this, but it disappeared. You know, it went to a
save
black
it for the
hole.
next one. Maybe I'll come back when you guys are seniors and you can tell me how great the team has been the last 3 years and how much this improv changed the course of your life. So maybe I'll come back to you for that one.
Yeah. And speaking about improv, I think we need to do an improv skit. Could you give us, I don't know, a place?
I'll get in participation mode. So Trevor and Billy want to play a game really bad. I'm gonna watch it. I might enjoy it. I might hate it. God only knows. But they'll do their best. And
He's gonna hate it. He's gonna hate it. Continue.
So the game's called Fortunately, Unfortunately. The way the game is played is we're gonna make up a place they are, maybe a topic they're talking about. They'll take turns starting a line, but they'll have to start it with fortunately, then alternate to unfortunately. So for instance, let's say they're talking about it's raining at the beach. Fortunately, I brought an umbrella. Unfortunately, it just got struck by lightning. Fortunately, I'm wearing my flame retardant suit, so it didn't burn me. Unfortunately, I spent all my money on that, and now we don't have money for a cab ride home. Fortunately, my brother's an Uber driver, and he'll do it for free. Unfortunately, I hate your brother because he just stole my Nintendo Switch when I was out of town. Fortunately, I have a PS5. We don't need a Nintendo Switch. Unfortunately, I use my mom's card for V-Bucks, and now I'm banned from PS5. So that's kind of the gimmick as you go to and fro.
Plot twist. That was actually the improv skit. We'll see you next time.
Was that the whole thing?
Roll credits.
All right, sorry. So you said you wanted a place.
Yeah.
Okay, let's have you in the Sahara Desert. And you two, and the situation is you guys are making a lemonade stand because you're trying to raise money to get home. Trevor's going to start mentioning the lemonade stand, then you can say fortunately, he'll go to unfortunately, we'll go like that, okay? Only rule is you guys can't think. If you think for more than 5 seconds, I'm going to end the game.
Okay.
It needs to be very right-brained. Don't try to be funny. This Sahara Desert, lemonade stand. Trevor, start.
We're stranded here. We got this lemonade stand. This is our only chance of getting out of here.
Unfortunately, there's no one to buy our lemonade.
Fortunately, I went to school for marketing. I can raise an ad campaign.
Unfortunately, there's no one here to build up the sign to advertise this lemonade.
Fortunately, I know a guy that can get us some illegal workers.
Unfortunately, he died years and years ago, and all I can hear is his voice telling me the names. It's a faint whispers of their names, but I can't quite hear them.
Fortunately, I know his brother, who's even better at getting illegal immigrants to help us.
Unfortunately, I have a moral compass, and I don't really want them to help me with this because I feel like that might be a little bit, I don't know, racist in a way.
Fortunately, I have this moral compass-anizer that I'm gonna zap you with, like Dr. Doofenshmirtz.
Unfortunately, I see my grandma in the distance driving towards me, and I go, man, I need to be a better person because she's going to come to me and she's going to tell me, you know what, Sonny? You need to be who you are to run this lemonade stand. You need to be a good kid like you always were. And she'll give me a cookie that she made every day before I went to bed at her house.
Fortunately, your grandma is just a mirage because we're dying of dehydration out here.
Unfortunately, I'm out of lemons.
Okay, scene. Why is that fortunate?
Because you don't have her to tell you.
Fortunately, we're dying. Okay, well,
sorry.
That was a scene. That was a game.
I'm sorry I made a weird grandma story. It just kind of happened.
No, that was actually the best part of it.
I'm glad.
I'll tell you what worked. I'll give you a little unsolicited feedback just because if you guys want to start a team, it's always good to reflect on how your skits went. What you guys did well, I'll give you glows and grows. What I thought went well with it is there weren't lulls in what you were saying. I kind of threatened you a little bit with ending the game, but I thought you were doing a good job of kind of snapping and cutting too. I think it was kind of a hard scene because you're not going to have any customers come out. So that didn't stop you though. You did a good job thinking about the practicalities of that, I guess. If I could give you any feedback, actually too, what you did well is the most important thing you can do in improv because you don't know what the background is add context and add information. And so adding things like, this guy who's good at something, you have a grandma who made you cookies every day. Adding that context is always helpful so that it kind of tells us if you only have 3 minutes to make a character, a guy in the desert versus a guy who's kind of a grandma's boy with a weird cookie complex, or a guy who knows people who have brothers in the shady underworld business, that lets us know who you are a little bit more. So I thought that was good. 2 things I would change. One is, not sure if you noticed, the country's been a little bit divided lately. I would never introduce anything that could be perceived as political into a skit, not because it's not funny. If you're doing like a late night talk show, you can. But the thing is, if you have an audience of 200 people and half are left leaning, half are right leaning, you mentioned Donald Trump. Now, half of them don't like you if you didn't say what they said. And so if you have like a news story about ICE every day, now you're making jokes about illegal immigrants. Either people don't like illegal immigrants and they're mad at you, or they feel sympathy for illegal immigrants and they don't like you. And now even if you're funny, they just want to see you get off stage. So I would say not that you, and then that goes too, like sometimes if you want to make an edgy joke, you mention like cancer or something. If you have people in the audience who had a family member with cancer, now they're bummed out. Now they don't want to be here anymore. So I'd try to be, if you're going to work in a school setting, you don't want anyone mad at you. So I'd try to stay probably more PG. There was never a big lull. I'll just say, remember, make sure you're listening to each other. Because there's a few times I don't remember exactly what, because it happened quickly. I think you guys were giving clues the other person could have picked up on, but you were driving your own narrative. Always listen more than you think. Because when you think, that's when you think you're being funny and you're making jokes. You always want to respond. You always want to react. So if someone mentions their friend, don't transition away from it. They mentioned their grandma, don't go back to your thing. always just listen and pull information from that, and that makes things flow more organically. That's my feedback. It could be good or it could be bad. I do have some experience with improv, but I never made any money off of it. So take it for what you will. But if I was coaching you, that's what I would say.
You know, I
how's that for feedback? You feel properly seen?
Yeah, I do like that feedback. And about the know, political stuff, it's hard to do that. I try my best not to get political or too what is it?
Edgy.
Sensitive. Yeah, sensitive and edgy.
Well, no, because the thing with here's the issue, and I'm not going to say it happens to everyone at a point. When you're stuck for something to say, it's easy to think what's something that will shock. But shock usually doesn't go well in improv because who you're really shocking is your partner. Like I was once doing a Milkman show. I forget exactly what the game was, but everyone had to pretend they were a different item. And this kid meant well, and he's in high school. Well, it was at the time, so I don't hold it against him. But he comes out and he's like I was like, I'm a carton of milk. I'm a stick of butter. I'm the AIDS quilt. And it was like, dude, the audience kind of groaned. Everyone's kind of annoyed with you. And now your partner has to react to you being like the freaking AIDS. It's like, you're not doing that's like for you, if you're a streamer and you want to say, a bad word and everyone's like, yeah, that's fine. But like, if you're doing a show, it's not good for your partners and it's not good for the audience. And also then, okay, that's game one. People will forgive you for having a boring scene. But if you piss people off in the first game, and the fifth game is like, oh, there's that guy I don't like. He always says edgy stuff to be edgy. How about you just make a character, make a joke, So no one's heart is ever in the wrong place. But I would always suggest against it.
Yeah, it's very context dependent. Like, I mean, even like in streams, sometimes I'll make like a dark joke, but political is so hard now. It's always not to get political on.
Well, and also too, it's all context, right? Like the jokes I tell my mom are different than the jokes I tell my friends, and those are all separate from things I would say on stage and broadcast. And remember too, because when you get to edgy, what happens when you're being edgy is you're trying to save the scene by saying something like funny and chock it full of life. But remember, improv is never about being funny. It's always about trying to make sense. Because you guys, it doesn't make sense that you're in the Sahara Desert. It doesn't make sense you have a lemonade stand in a place where nobody is. And so trying to make sense of that, like questions you didn't answer. How did you get to the Sahara Desert? How isn't your lemonade evaporating? What do you want the money for? Things like, what do you want to buy with the money isn't going to be an easy joke, but it gives you motivation. What do you want with the money? And you guys can tease out, are you trying to impress somebody? Are you trying to get a bicycle? Like it can be, whatever it is stupid. But the audience, here's what the audience likes with improv. The audience likes squirming. They like you being given a stupid and impossible situation and seeing you try to make sense of it. And if you aren't addressing the situation, you're just saying things you think they'll react to, they don't get that satisfaction. They want you to see, why are we in this? And then the conclusion of the scene is, how do we get out of it? Sometimes you get there, sometimes you don't. But that's always kind of the challenge is, how do we get here? What's your motivation? Can we resolve it one way or the other? It's kind of how I think about it. Like some of my best improvisers, I give the worst handles to. Like I have this one kid who's really talented, and I'd always be like, you're a stick of butter who's melting. That's his character. And so throughout the scene, like it's very challenging, but just the audience seeing him try to grapple with the physicality of that and the explanation of that, of why his voice is kind of drooping and his face is going down. Like that's kind of where that's where the magic comes from, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's always so fun. I love doing that with the audience, or like doing that with scenes and stuff. It's a hard skill though. It's very hard.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say like, oh, I'm so good at it, because like I'm not good. I'm still, I'm 18 years old. I am an adult, but like not really. I'm still 4 years old. I just have responsibilities.
That feeling never goes away.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean,
like I love to expand upon that skill, like in life.
And usually, like whenever I did improv or even was a coach, the best part's always reflecting. It's what worked well, what didn't work well, and then you practice the game. So people sometimes think that improv is scripted. I've never been in a scene where I've scripted what I was going to say beforehand, but when you start to learn just kind of like tendencies of how to stand, how to deliver a line, what kind of like approaches work like that. You build that skill. So I wouldn't never beat yourself up. I only give you feedback because I believe in you guys and I want you to keep growing. But I think even if you guys have a team, it's always good to, after every scene, give a little feedback, or even at the end, have a little notepad, say, here's what worked best for you today. That voice was really funny. You were really quick. Or sometimes too, you have the worst thing you can have is somebody who's really funny and they know it, because what they do is they sometimes can have a tendency to talk over everybody. So even something like, everything you said was funny and I didn't hear from your partner once. You know, like that feedback's important, because if you're funny but you don't let your partner talk, they never want to work with you, you know?
Yeah, it's not just you on stage, it's everyone else.
Yeah. In the improv world, you call that chivalry.
Exactly. Sometimes I feel myself doing that, and then I have to draw back a little bit, because like sometimes people are laughing. I'm like, oh, I'm so, and then I'm not letting. But then, as long as you could see that your because I try to, if I see that my partner on stage is not saying anything, I'll talk to them. I'll ask them a question, give them a thing they need to respond to, because I see that a lot, where like what you were saying is some people just take the front of the stage and they just keep going with their joke. And yes, they're funny, but they're making everyone else on stage feel, I don't know, left out in a way. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
not left out.
Well, no, it's not about even the person's feelings necessarily, just about building a scene. It's not a monologue. If you're doing a monologue, then great. But, so yeah, well, it has gotten a little bit late. I know you guys stay up till 6. Me being, middle-aged and a father, 10:30 for me is pushing the limit. Any final question, comment, take you want to give me before I log off and get to bed?
I just thought of this, sorry, are you okay if I ask?
You can go first.
Okay. Just because I'm interested in knowing, have you ever had a scene where you thought was going to be so funny and everyone was going to laugh, and then you do it and not a single person laughs, and you thought it was so funny and you were disappointed?
I've definitely had scenes go badly, but again, the main thing I always had hammered into me was do not think, do not think, do not think. So there was never a time where I was like, oh yeah, in this scene I have this good joke I'm going to pull out of my back pocket. So I never had anticipation. Like, I think sometimes there's been games I've played where like in practice the game is funny and for whatever reason it doesn't go well on stage. To be honest, performing wise, I don't know if I had anything like I saw it more as a coach. Sometimes like I'd coach kids and the games they do were funny in practice and it didn't translate on the stage for whatever reason. Because even though I've been involved with improv for a long time, I was only in a handful of shows. There's like 3 Milkmen shows, 1 show from my improv class, and a few like coffee houses. So I guess like I performed enough, but I spent more time in a coaching capacity. The short answer is yes, but not because I was expecting it would be good with plans, just because like I think sometimes it boiled down to chemistry. Like there were some people I could play off of really well and some people I couldn't. Not everyone gets the rules of improv. And if you're really good at it and you're with somebody who's not good at it, neither of you are going to look good. Like one time I had to do an improv scene at camp. And again, there's a lot of people in the auditorium, and the person I was doing it with was kind of a friend who hadn't done it, and she was really interested, but she wasn't listening to what I was saying. She wouldn't react to things. And then the worst thing you can do in improv is deny the reality of the situation. So like the worst thing you guys could have done in the desert scene is be like, well, we're in the desert. No, we're not. We're in a studio. You need to always accept reality. So this scene was going on.
I hate doing improv with people like
denial
that.
Disaster is great. Well, denial disaster is great when you do it on purpose. It's not good when it's on accident.
Oh, when it's on
but anyway,
accident.
I needed to end this scene because it wasn't going anywhere. And so we were at like a volcano, and I pushed her into the volcano to end the scene. And then she steps out and says, that wasn't a volcano. And it's like me. I've done a lot of improv, and I'm not like famous, but I'm good at it. But I was like, I don't know where to go. Like the scene's done nothing. We don't have any conflict.
There was a bunch of trampolines down there, and you bounced out.
It's like,
well, no, Trevor, that would have been good. That would have been good. You need to justify what you're doing. So if there's something weird, if I say, why is there a snake on your head? Be like, yeah, it's a new fancy hat. Everyone's wearing it in France. You need to justify it, but it wasn't that. It was just contradicting what I said. So now I said I pushed you into a volcano. No, you didn't.
You got to do the
I don't know where to go from that now.
You need to do no, but not no.
Right. Well, you can only deny if you are elevating. The key is always elevation.
Oh.
How can you make the stakes higher, get closer to resolving the conflict? If I'm saying, hey, get in that car. Nope. okay, I guess.
Are you gonna fight me? Like, what's happening? Like,
right. So it's been the minority of times, but again, it wasn't that I thought it was gonna be good. Just things happen. But that's the beauty of improv. It's great if you're going to watch Hamilton or the Book of Mormon, they'll introduce the show and say, "Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a great show for you tonight." I love with improv, I hope we have a great show tonight. None of us will know until it's over. I like that amount of chaos. Not everybody does, which I also respect. So sorry if that was a longer answer than you anticipated, but that's how I feel.
Hey, it's good. Sorry,
that's what the podcast is for. Trevor, with the final question, comment, quip, concern, query of the day.
I would like to mention a piece of advice that I think you actually gave me on that podcast we did about a year ago. You told me that when you go to work, you kind of have the persona of Mr. Short, and in your personal time, you're Mike.
Yeah.
And ever since
Mike
then,
has never walked into the building at a school.
Yeah. Ever since then, I have kind of had that in the back of my head, like starting college. Like, I was nervous, but like I still went by Trevor. I wasn't like MC Blood Money or something. But
yeah, you were. He's lying.
But I just had that mindset of like it just helped me with being shy, just having the mindset of like just put on a persona. But there's that line of like putting on a persona but also being yourself, because you don't want to act like someone you're not.
Yeah, I would never say like be fake. Like, it's not like I kind of exaggerate the distinction between Mike and Mrs. Short a little bit, but not entirely. More so how it manifests in teaching. And I guess since Billy, that's a field you're interested in as well, is more like when I'm in school, I am always in a good mood. I am always smiling. I'm always interested in what you have to say. I always got enough rest. That's not how Mike always feels. I don't always wake up in a good mood. I don't always want to be at work. I don't always want to talk to people. But I think if you make the choice to work around people, you need to be personable. You can't walk in and be like, "Class, today I'm in a bad mood." So
we're putting on Reading Rainbow, and I'm sitting at my desk hungover.
Right. I'm gonna yell when he asks me a question and sleep at my desk. That is not really appropriate. And similar to like I have young kids, and who I am as dad isn't going to like, there's stuff like my kids need from me. They need me to make them breakfast and to play with them and be patient with them and everything. And I can't be like, "Yeah, but as Mike, I'm really tired and he woke me up last night and I want to watch a movie and not talk, like pretend that I'm Blippy." But like dad is kind of a persona too, and so I would never recommend you like make an alter ego that's detached from your likes and interests to that it's fake. But sometimes it's like, I'm kind of shy, but at this party, I'm going to not be shy. The persona I am today likes initiating conversations. I'm in class and my persona is I study a lot and I like raising my hand first, and also sometimes too, like it's tough. Like when you're on stage, everyone's judging you. And when you're in a classroom, everyone's judging you. When you're at the mall, people more or less might be judging you. And that can be vulnerable at points. So I think sometimes having a persona, like if a student doesn't like me or something, it's like, well, they don't really know me. They know Mr. Short. Mr. Short's a character I created, and it's not for everybody, and that's okay. I try to be approachable, but not everyone can like you all the time. Same as being on stage. You're just not everyone's cup of tea. So in life, I think it can be a little bit of a defense to be like, yeah, I was kind of loud and maybe a little obnoxious when I was at that social situation. That was a persona I was doing, because I thought that was good for the party. If they got to know me at the library or one-on-one, maybe they'd feel differently, And again, not in a way that's like fake, but it's kind of like you kind of do it accidentally. Like, I'm positive the way you talk with your best friend at 2 a.m. at a sleepover versus your family at Thanksgiving dinner versus in a classroom versus whatever, you're unintentionally slipping into a persona without trying to. If you take it a step further and just be more intentional with who you want to be. Last word, then I'll let you do the sign off. Great advice I got is be the friend that you'd want to hang out with. And that could extend to be the person you'd want to date, be the student you'd want to teach. So if I'm thinking, yeah, I'm kind of tired, I don't want to be, well, no. So what I mean by that is everyone wants a great romantic partner, but would you want to date you? Think, well, am I thoughtful? Do I send this text? Do I have a surprise? As a friend, do you guys like having friends who always say, "Oh, what do you want to do?" Or friends who say, "Hey, here's what I'm doing tonight. You want to come?" At a party,
you want to
be at a party with the guy who's standing? That's fun. But like in a party situation, would you want to be at a party with somebody who's kind of brooding in the corner waiting for someone to talk to him, or the person introducing himself, starting a conversation, So I'd say as far as personas go, if you'd want, just consider if you're the person you would want to be around. And if not, you can change that. You're not married to being how you feel right now forever. So
Exactly. I appreciate you spreading this wisdom to both us.
I tried to.
No, listen, to both us.
Yep.
I don't know how much, Trevor.
And the 7 listeners. So we're going to
And the 7, I'm gonna post this to my channel. I think maybe this will get I'll get this like 5 more views. Who knows?
Well, hey, audience, really? I was hoping anything that was productive in this conversation was good for you too. If anyone else listened in, that's great. And if not, that's great too.
Comment down below what your favorite, if you've gone this far, like honestly, props to you, man.
You can post a link to it on your channel.
That's what I'm gonna do. I'm not posting the video because then it would get so many. But like, yeah, if this video helped you insightfully, let us know. How did it change your life?
You and I both know your viewers would only click on this video if you posted it, if it had like the little demon thing on it from Geometry Dash.
We don't need to talk
In the
about
thumbnail.
We don't need to talk about how that's the game I play.
Well, hey, branding is important for everybody. No judgment. Yeah, I wish you two the best of luck. And I would say tonight, if you guys are hanging out, go watch Waiting for Guffman. Let that inspire you. And then I wouldn't hesitate. Start making an improv team tomorrow. And in 3 years, we can have a follow-up if you want. Let me know how good the team's been. Okay?
You'll be a like special guest in our improv group.
You could be the feedback guy.
Yeah.
Be like, you were great, but you didn't let your teammate say a word.
Well, it's not even a but. It's an and. You did this well, and you could improve on that.
That is something that I've been trying to do more since our last video together, was instead of saying but, saying and.
Yeah, because I mean, well, both things are true. Most things aren't all good and not all bad, but it's good to identify, like, if you're really good at like impressions, lean into it. And if you're really bad at facing the audience instead of facing backwards, address that too. So it's not a bad thing. It's always good to get real feedback. So yeah, well, I wish you both the best of luck. Thank you for having me on. It's been an honor. Best of luck with the final cut.
It was good talking to you, Mike. Thank you for
moral of the story.
You
shut
too.
everyone down and never ever accept anything from anybody when you're doing improv. Say no.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nope, that
you do it
wasn't
your
a
way or the
volcano.
highway.
Thank you.
I say do it your way or the highway, and if someone's disagreeing, just talk over them.
Exactly. Blah 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 blah. My turn. I have something funny to say.
Amen. Look at me. Yeah, that's the best way to go about it.
But thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Have a good night, guys.
Thank you.
Maybe we'll podcast with you again.
All right.
Sound good. Senior year, we'll do the retrospect.
You were watching this.
And
have a good night.
have a good night.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir. That was really fun.